What's up, nerds? Welcome to the Nerd History Podcast, a proud part of the Love Thy Nerd podcast network, and your home for celebrating the nostalgia that has shaped nerd culture. I am Radio Matt. I'm the Director of Content and Resources for Love Thy Nerd, and with me today and forevermore is my amazing bride, Daedra.
Hello. I never know what to do.
You have 2 whole weeks to come up with something clever, and you always settle for hello.
It's my signature.
You can't make hello. Your signature sign.
Excuse me.
It's everybody's signature.
Gus from Psych did it. Okay. That's his. Yeah. Uh-huh. Your face.
All right. True about Pluto. It's messed up, right?
It's messed up, right?
We are the Nerd Historians, and today on the show, we are taking a look at the history of Bill and Ted, which celebrated its 34th anniversary of the original movie in February of this year. We are celebrating near the anniversary of the 3rd movie of the series, which will celebrate its 4th anniversary.
30 years later.
Just a few days from now on August 28th. So let's talk about the Wild Stallions.
Does that work?
We'll see. Before we jump into it, Daedra,
What?
you rewatched the original movie.
I did.
Recently.
Yes. Uh-huh.
A few days ago, though. It's been about a week since you've seen it.
Uh-huh.
Been about a week.
Yep.
I want to
Do
test
I remember?
to see
Oh, no.
if you can remember.
No, if you had told me it was a test, I would have paid more attention.
Of course, that's why I didn't tell you. I want you to tell me all 8 historical figures that they brought back from the past in
All right.
Bill and Ted's Excellent
All right,
Adventure.
you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Joan of Arc,
Joan of Arc,
Billy the Kid,
Billy the Kid,
Napoleon, Sigmund Freud.
That's half.
They did the name and like they kept getting it wrong.
They did that for a few of them.
Yeah, he's Galileo? Was it? No.
Not Galileo.
Okay, Joan of Arc. Did I say that one already? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, my gosh. Abe Lincoln. Okay. Man, what was the guy's name? He was a philosopher. No wonder we can't remember it. Aristotle.
No, but you're getting closer.
How many have I said? 5?
You've gotten 5. There's 3
there's
left.
3?
Yeah.
There's 3?
There's 3 more.
Oh my gosh.
2 of them are names that they were mispronouncing.
Oh my gosh. Were there any more late? Oh, does the princesses? Do those
No,
count?
those don't count.
Aw.
They're
Were
not
there any more ladies?
Historical figures. No, they're all dudes.
I'm trying to remember, like, at the mall. The guy that rips each other. That rips people. Genghis Khan?
Ripsy?
Rips
people?
Arms. Rips
Genghis
limbs.
Khan, yes. Now you have the 2 that they were mispronouncing.
Really? That's the 2 I can't get? The ones that they couldn't get?
The ones that should have been obvious because they're jokes throughout the movie. Okay, you said Aristotle. Think along that line.
Yeah, I don't know any other ones.
You don't remember the trilogy of the Greek philosophers?
Plato?
That's the other one. What's the first one? Actually, I don't know what order they're in, but
Did I say Galileo? No,
yeah, but that's not one of them.
I don't know.
Oh, man. All right. Think of the other one. I'll give you a hint. Music.
Oh, Beethoven.
Beethoven. All right. Do you want to give up on the last one?
Yeah, I don't remember what.
It's one of the main three.
I'm
that are
sure
with
it
them
is.
in every place.
I know. I get it. And they introduce him several times the wrong way.
You can't think of it?
No.
Socrates.
Socrates.
7 out of 8. That's not bad. That's not bad for a movie from
It
1989.
was 6. You hinted at number 7.
But there's plenty. You could have said Bach or Handel or,
No,
all of them.
musician. Come on.
Come on, there was only one.
That gave it away.
There's only one musician. You could have said.
And with all the pianos in them all. Yeah.
You could have said Michael Jackson. Said.
I feel like he was around when the movie was made, though.
He was.
Yeah.
He was indeed. Well, let's talk about him.
Did you know that I was 3 when it came out? I was Natalie's age.
I was.
5.
No, because it would have been February. Yeah. No. I was 4.
I didn't count the month.
I was 4.
Well, that means I was 2.
Good job. This movie. So I've talked about Back to the Future being not only my favorite movies
Ever.
of all time, but also instrumental in me falling in love with time travel as a mechanic. I gotta be honest. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure has just as much to do with me falling in love with time travel.
Ugh.
Because...
It drives me crazy.
Why?
Because there is no butterfly effect, no...
We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
But...
I figured.
But this was fun. I mean, there's nothing about this movie
Yeah.
that's serious in tone. While Back to the Future was. It was half comma, half drama, half comedy. That's what I was doing. Comma.
Comma.
I feel like the better word is dramedy.
Yeah. Because comma's already a word.
Because comma's already a thing. And that'd be confusing.
It's confusing.
But but this was fun. This made me fall in love with just the goofy aspect of time travel as a kid.
I do like the goofiness.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to just sit and not have to try and think of the science, right?
And that's hard to do in any movie today.
Yeah.
Even movies with similar premises and ideas, like Hot Tub Time Machine. They still had to explain it.
Right.
They didn't explain any of this,
They
really.
didn't. No.
It just
At all.
things happened and you accepted it and you bought it and you went on with your life.
And you just
You just
accepted
enjoyed
that
the movie.
someone from however many years in the past could fix the thing that broke. Gum.
They had gum. It was Bill that fixed it. But still, yes, it was from the past, from them, because the phone booth was from the future. I get it. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure came out in 1989. It follows 2 high school slackers, Bill S. Preston Esquire, played by Alex Winter, and Ted Theodore Logan, played by the incomparable
So, is
Keanu Reeves.
that the right word?
I don't know. Sounded right. Sounded good. They dream of becoming rock stars with their band, the Wild Stallions. However, their academic future is in jeopardy as they are failing history class. And if they don't pass, Ted will be sent to military school, ending their musical aspirations. Unbeknownst to them, the future of humanity depends on their success, because in the distant future, a utopian society is built around the music of the Wild Stallions. Rufus, played by George Carlin, who was the only well-known person on the cast and did a phenomenal job. He was a time traveler from the future. He arrives in a phone booth-shaped time machine to help them pass their history exam. No doubt a slight nod to Doctor Who.
It has to be, right? It has to be.
Rufus guides Bill and
Except
Ted.
their time machine is not bigger on the inside.
It's not. It is very cramped. Rufus except, I mean, they got a lot of guys in there.
That's true.
They were piling out. Rufus guides Bill and Ted as they travel through time, collecting famous historical figures, which we've already listed. Their encounters are filled with humor as these historical figures interact with modern-day San Dimas, California. The mall scene is fantastic.
Yeah.
Napoleon's individual journey.
That's my favorite
with the
part,
little brother.
actually,
Yeah.
is Napoleon.
Napoleon at the pool. Napoleon eating the big Ziggy Pig ice cream. It's fantastic.
Getting kicked
Mwah.
out. Yeah.
Yes, it was fantastic. After a series of comical misadventures, Bill and Ted return to the present with their historical guests. They deliver a lively history presentation featuring these historical figures themselves, which impress their teachers and classmates, ensuring that they pass the class. It ends with Bill and Ted on the path to becoming musical legends, destined to unite the world. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is a lighthearted, imaginative comedy that became a cult classic, beloved for its quirky humor and the chemistry between its two leads. It really was a well-received movie. As stupid as the premise is, as kind of annoying as the characters were. I mean, we were getting into the 90s. This was the comedy duo. This was Wayne's World. This Wayne and Garth. This was a popular kind of meathead Californian.
Which eventually turned into Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh, I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah.
And I'm mad at you for
I'm
making me.
sorry.
Oh, gosh. Anyway. Just 2 years later, it was so successful. 1991, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey came out, where a now older Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan face a new threat. In the future, a villain named Denomolos despises the utopia inspired by the Wild Stallions' music. To stop their rise, he sends evil robot duplicates of Bill and Ted back in time to kill them. The evil robots succeed in killing Bill and Ted, sending them to the afterlife, and there they meet Death, played by William Sadler, who...
Who's that?
You remember Roswell?
Uh-huh.
Remember the sheriff?
Oh!
He's Death.
Oh, duh. Okay, yeah.
You remember that now? Yeah.
I do, yeah.
And might be my favorite character of the last two movies, at least. So good. So well done.
Yeah.
I didn't really know who he was when I first saw it, but I loved him in Roswell. He did so good in Roswell.
He did.
And so it made me appreciate him when I realized, hey, that's that guy.
That's that guy. And I was like, you did a good job. You did a good job, guy.
That's a good job, guy. Death, in my favorite scene of the movie, is challenged to a game, or challenges them to a game. I don't know who does the challenging. I think Death challenges them to a game to win back their life. Mm-hmm. And loses. And then says, it's best 2 out of 3. And then they just keep adding. Best 4 out of 7. They just keep going. And then eventually relents. And they earn their right to return to Earth. And he goes with them. Which is fun. Mm-hmm. Especially when they actually visit hell. I mean, visit heaven. They were in hell. They visit heaven. The hell scene is rough. Like the hell scene, which I watched in 1991. It's not so much that, like, there is a scene where there's like a big demon or whatever, and that didn't scare me. Mm-hmm. It was more like they're each separated into their own like weird nightmare. The one with like Granny chasing him, and then I don't remember what the other one was, but the Granny one really freaked me out. I think it was Bill's nightmare. This is green, wonky, like filmed at a diagonal angle.
Right.
Terrifying.
Are you afraid of getting old?
A little bit. I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to die soon. Bill and Ted return to Earth with Death as their ally. They build good robot versions of themselves, Home Depot versions of themselves. Do you remember what they look like? Like, it's really just like all pipes and junk clamored together. Yeah. It's really weird. They're helped by alien scientists named Station. And they're two little aardvark looking people that at one point mesh together and become one giant aardvark person. And that was gross.
Sounds gross.
The climactic battle ensues at the San Dimas Battle of the Bands, where the good robots defeat their evil counterparts. Bill and Ted's performance at the Battle of the Bands is a triumph, finally setting them on their path to fulfilling their destiny as musicians who will unite the world. Bill and Ted's bogus journey blends surreal humor and existential themes, making it darker than the first movie, but still entertaining. At the end of this movie, they play during the credits a bunch of like headlines, like newspaper clippings that kind of follow the story, which kind of get unraveled by the third because it kind of follows it all the way to the end almost. Oh. But we see one thing that they keep like in the story, and that is Death leaves the band. Because Death's a part of the band at the end.
Right.
And he leaves the band and pursues his solo career, which does not go well. But later we see in those things he rejoins the band and they play on Mars and all, they do all this stuff that implies things are great. So I don't know if it's like retconned with the third movie or if all those clippings are supposed to take place after the third movie. I don't know. But anyway, the third movie, Bill and Ted Face the Music, came out in 2020, which finds a now aging Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan struggling still to write the song that will unite the world and fulfill their destiny.
Right.
It has not happened yet.
And they know it's going to happen.
And they know it's supposed to happen.
It's got to be stressful, right?
And they're panicking.
Right.
And they're not popular. Nobody likes them anymore. They were popular for a while. Then they sucked. Now they're playing the theremin. What's happening? Doing throat singing. Despite their... When Kelly, daughter of their old friend Rufus from the future, arrives, she informs them that time and reality are collapsing. Bill and Ted have just 78 minutes to write the song that will save everything. And so they decide to travel through time to steal the song from their future selves. Only to find...
It's brilliant, really.
Yeah, only to find increasingly desperate versions of themselves still trying to find the song. And they're all wacky. One is like they've pretending like they've become rich and famous, and they're talking in British accents now because that's what rich, famous musicians do. Madonna. They go even further, and they're both in prison, and they're giant, muscular dudes with handlebar mustaches now. Like, crazy stuff. But they do eventually find it. Meanwhile, their daughters, Billy, or Little Bill, and Thea, or Little Ted, embark on their own time-traveling journey to assemble a supergroup of history's greatest musicians. So this kind of pays homage to the first movie, because they're gathering historical figures, but this time focused on musicians. And they get Jimi Hendrix, Louis Armstrong, Mozart, not Skrillex.
What?
That's right. That's the right answer to what I just said. No one should remember. As Bill and Ted race against time, they're pursued by a time-traveling killer robot named Dennis Caleb McCoy, who eventually joins their cause after accidentally killing Bill and Ted's daughter. Bill and Ted realize the prophecy about creating the song with Bill and Ted realize that the prophecy is actually about them creating the song alongside their daughters. And so together they perform the ultimate song that unites humanity and saves reality. In the process of doing this, though, like I said, the daughters are killed. And they are sent down to hell, where the fathers were 30 years earlier. And this gives them the opportunity to reunite with Death and convince him to join the band again. And it's the daughters that actually do it, because the daughters loved his solo career. And again, William Sadler did such a fantastic job. Favorite part. Bill and Ted Face the Music was very nostalgic. It was a heartwarming conclusion to the trilogy. Celebrating the power of music and friendship and family. It honors the legacy of the original films while giving that passing of the torch kind of feel to it. I think the choices for the daughters, did I have their names? Little Bill was Bridget Lundy Payne, and little Ted was Samara Weaving. Samara Weaving. Anyway, I don't know. I've seen both of them in other things, but I don't really know who they are. But they did a phenomenal job of being the daughters of these two people. Like, I fully bought their portrayals.
Wasn't there something to do with the wives? Like, because the wives were supposed to be those princess ladies, right?
The wives were the princesses.
Were they in it?
They were in it. It was like a sub story where they thought they were about to lose the princesses, like they were going to leave them, like, because they go to therapy together, and the whole point was they couldn't do anything apart, and so they were even doing therapy together, and that was making the princesses upset.
Can't remember that.
And so
yeah.
They thought the princesses left them, and in fact, that's what future Bills and Teds told them. Right. But in reality, they were just doing their own mission to also help.
That's right. That's
spoilers. Right. I'm sorry. Like, if you didn't, if you haven't seen it, you didn't care about it. But you should see them because they're really good. If you're ever listening to this podcast, it's all spoilers. So just call it the spoiler podcast.
A little flashy thing at the beginning of it, just to warn them.
Should do something. Spoilers.
Warning. 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 Warning.
Warning. Warning.
Just put Kevin doing that.
Strawberry jam. What's that from? Do you know?
I don't know. It sounded familiar.
Superstore. When they find the thumb in the guacamole.
Are you watching through that?
I am. It's so good. All right, let's talk about some fun facts. Keanu Reeves actually tried out for Bill.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That would have been weird.
Is there a difference?
Yeah. And the fact that you even asked that question is so insulting. Alex Winter, whom played Bill, everyone assumes just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. But really, he just moved on to be a director. He became a very successful documentary filmmaker after the Bill and Ted movies, and has directed several acclaimed documentaries.
Cool.
The script was written on spec, meaning nobody hired them to do it. The two creators, Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon, wrote it while they were still in college, and then shopped it around hoping somebody would buy it. And somebody did. Orion Films.
Like, yeah, all right.
The phrase, be excellent to each other, has become, or did become, a popular saying. It's not super popular now, but it was super popular back then. It has been referenced in various media and even academic discussions on ethics.
Ah. Yes, it's very deep.
I mean, when you think about it, it kind of is. Because it's not saying be nice to each other.
Be excellent.
Be excellent. That's an extra mile kind of mindset right there. That's walking 2 miles when they ask you to walk 1. Right. That's a biblical message. Be excellent to each other.
I'm gonna write that on my wall.
And party on, dudes. That one maybe not as.
All right,
but joy, sure. Okay, let's talk about time travel.
Okay.
This is your biggest beef. Explain it. Explain your beef.
They get all these people out of history. Just let them loose in our time. And then stick them all back in. Just no effects. And then they take 2 princesses out and marry them. And they were going to marry these dudes. What generation did they just kill?
In the words of Smart Hulk. Time travel doesn't work that way. When you go back into the past, that's your new future, which isn't altered by your present. I don't know how the rest of the quote goes, but either way, it's just like how Star Trek's timeline works with the Kelvin timeline.
Mm-hmm. I hate that.
I know, but it's logical. It's a new timeline completely. It doesn't erase what happened before. It is a tracked path that goes all the way to this point, zips back with Spock, and starts a new line here.
And
but
what
it doesn't
happened
affect
to the
the
old
past.
line?
The old line still continues. That line is still going. That's the
And in that line,
big green
where the heck
main
are
line
Bill and
from
Ted?
Loki.
Do they just disappear out of that timeline then?
What timeline?
Their original timeline.
What do you mean?
Do they just disappear? They were going, and then they got a time machine and made this new timeline, and they're up here with the princesses, married and living.
They are hopping timelines, essentially, yes.
So they're not in this one anymore.
No, they return to this one. They're bringing stuff from the past to their timeline. And so they're creating ripples in the past that then get closed when they return the people back to their original time.
But they didn't return
Just like the
everybody.
stones. Yes, they did. You shouldn't see it. Just like the stones. You didn't see Captain America return all those stones. They didn't just stay there and send
They
demons
didn't
for
return the
forever.
princesses.
Well, they didn't return the princesses.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, sure, fine. But the princesses, who cared? That timeline still goes on.
And who did they
knows?
kill in the original
Probably
timeline?
some really bad people. Otherwise, the future people wouldn't have let it happen.
This is what I'm saying.
But it is a very less strict approach to time travel. Paradoxes
Also-
and continuity issues are largely ignored.
I'm not done yet.
I'm so sorry.
So they're going to save these hot princesses to marry,
Uh-huh.
but they won't save freaking Joan of Arc. They just let her get burned at the stake.
Well, they had to save their lives. They didn't go to change history that meant anything. You don't even know who these princesses were. You can't even name them right now because they weren't historical figures.
So if you're historical enough of a figure,
Yeah, you're
you
a
have
fixed
to die.
point. You gotta die when you
Fixed
die.
point on the timeline. Yeah.
Joan of Arc dying, that was a fixed point.
Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln dying, that was a fixed point.
Napoleon.
Napoleon
I mean-
dying.
Technically, they all died. Right?
But the way they died were fixed points. Historical moments. Yeah, anyway. I don't care about it. It's fine.
You just have to tell yourself, just don't think about it.
Just don't think about it. Why think about it?
They're not thinking about it, obviously. Why should you?
Right. It is. And again, this is because it's in the, the late 80s, early 90s where they didn't have to explain everything.
Right.
But it is weird that there was no rules from Rufus.
At
Don't
all.
do this.
At all. He just comes from the future and says, here's a time machine, and leaves.
He doesn't even tell them how to go to the next day forward until much later in the movie.
And he tells them, don't forget to wind your watch. And then
Well, that was
that
time.
really didn't matter, apparently.
It didn't because he didn't wind his watch. The only reason it mattered is so there would be exposition for later when they realize, oh my gosh, we got to get back right now. Because at some point in the movie, it's like, how much time we got? He goes, tons. Mm-hmm. And so they go and get all the extra credit people. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about not caring.
I'll try.
There was a horrible video game for the NES that came out the same year as the first movie. Called Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure.
Oh, gosh.
Daedra, this is one of the worst video games I have ever personally experienced. GameSpot has it rated as almost the highest difficulty level, which is labeled unforgiving.
Oh, dang.
A review from 2004, recent comparatively, someone wrote, Somebody go back in time and make a good Bill and Ted game. This game, again, this plays off the same fact of the movie that Rufus just drops them there and gives them the... This game does the exact same thing to people playing it. The game is Bill and Ted traveling through various historic time periods to return time fragments, which are just misplaced historical figures, to their time. The game features like this overhead view. The player is walking around these extremely large and confusing and repetitive maps. You have to locate historical figures. You have to solve these puzzles, return them to the proper timeline. The problem is there is little to no guidance of how you do any of this. It uses the phone booth and the dialing system, and there are codes to get you to certain places that are almost impossible to find unless you go online and find, cheats and all this kind of stuff. And it had cheats. But there's somebody who played it this year, 2024. Even with all the cheats, it took him 15 hours to beat this game. He said, if it weren't for the fact that I was trying to review this in whole, I never would have played this game all the way through.
Wow.
It was torturous.
Wow.
I just remember as a kid thinking I was just bad at video games.
Oh.
Like, I just don't understand. I just can't get it.
I bet all the kids were like, I'm no good.
It was so bad. It was such a bad game.
That makes me want to play it.
Right? You should experience it. This one. I want it to be on the
I like
the Switch's
solving puzzles.
the Switch's virtual console, so you can play it. The scenes where Napoleon Bonaparte are seen enjoying water slides is actually filmed at a real water park in Mesa, Arizona.
Oh, cool.
Bill and Ted expanded into comic books. The series was published by Marvel Comics and continued the adventures of Bill and Ted after the original movies. Of course, they were not canon to the story. The movie's fictional band, Wild Stallions, has become iconic. There have been various real-life tributes and performances inspired by the fictional band, though the actors themselves never performed as a band outside of the films. Despite its lighthearted nature, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure has been studied in film courses for its unique approach to comedy, time travel, and its influence on the genre. In 1990, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures was turned into an animated TV show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The first season was notable because Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, and George Carlin all reprised their roles as the voices.
Wow, okay.
But the show ran for 2 seasons. They did not come back for the second season.
They were like, nah.
A total of 21 episodes.
Wow.
Following the limited success of the animated series, a live-action version of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures was produced in 1992. However, the show was short-lived, only lasting for 7 episodes. The actors who portrayed Bill and Ted in the series, Evan Richards and Christopher Kennedy, did not quite capture the magic of the original duo, leading to its quick cancellation. I watched some of the first episode of this leading into our show today. There were worse shows in the 90s, the early 90s. But I wouldn't have watched it. No.
No.
It was rough.
No.
They did their best. Of all of the shows where they're playing characters from a movie, but it's casted as different people that kind of look and sound like them, this was pretty close, I think.
That's got to be really hard.
Close enough.
That's got to be really hard to play an established character. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. That's why it was more popular as a cereal. Bill and Ted's cereal. Bill and Ted's excellent cereal.
Excellent. Better be.
This was cereal featured cinnamon-flavored pieces shaped like musical notes, along with marshmallows shaped like telephone booths, guitars, and musical instruments of other kinds. The box also included collectible trading cards featuring scenes from their first movie.
Well, that's cool.
It's like a cinnamon version of Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be fine with that.
The Apple Jacks? Apple Jacks are also cinnamon, right?
They are apple cinnamon.
Yeah. So like Apple Jacks with marshmallows?
Except it's not apple. It's just cinnamon. It's more like closer to Cinnamon Toast Crunch with marshmallows. You weirdo.
I don't know that I've ever been eating Apple Jacks and thought, that's a good apple flavor. I think cinnamon.
You're literally rattling off their whole commercial campaign from the 90s.
What?
You remember? Like for several years, Applejack's whole thing was, but they don't taste like apple. And the kid eating it was like, I don't care. Yeah. Like the parents or the authority figure were upset because Applejacks don't taste like apples.
Then why are you telling me they do?
Because it's not a straight cinnamon flavor. I don't care, Dad. Leave me alone. I'm going to eat these Applejacks and go shred at the mall.
Yeah. You're the boring parent in this scenario. I just want you to know that.
Oh, man. So, after the second movie, going in to the almost 30-year time delay, the creators, Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon, were persistent that a third movie would happen.
Really?
They never gave up. They spent many years developing a script, trying to find a way to make the movie happen. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter also were committed to reprising the roles whenever, however.
Wow.
And it was like Dan Aykroyd with Ghostbusters 3. It's like, I don't care when it happens, how it happens, who writes it.
I'm there.
Let's just do it. I can't get enough. They actually participated in discussions about the third movie. In fact, I remember for like a decade before it came out, there being teases and quotes and whatever. Like, we're working on it. It's coming. It's going to happen. You know, from like Keanu Reeves, who's a major movie star.
Right.
Major. One of the most major movie stars of the last decade. And he's going to do another Bill and Ted.
Right.
But he was committed, wanted it so bad, which I'm glad.
Yeah.
It really was the rise of social media that kind of pushed the resurgence of hope for this movie. They used that to their advantage, generated a lot of buzz, grasped onto the nostalgia of it. The movie wrapped filming just before the pandemic hit.
Oh.
And so post-production was impacted, was extended, because most of that had to be done remotely.
Right.
They were finishing the film like from home.
Right.
But it released in 2020. In August of 2020. You and I were on like a cross-country trip. It was like a
Wondered if you were going to tell them
fantastic
when you made me watch this movie.
fantastic vacation. We went to, was it in Rapid City? I think it
I don't
was.
even remember what city it was.
We had gone to Mount Rushmore, and the closest city is Rapid City to Mount Rushmore, which is a relatively small city, a little bit bigger than our hometown. And they had a movie theater that had 2 movies playing.
Right.
Because those were the only 2 movies out.
Right. It was 2020.
It was so strange. But there had been like no movies in theaters for months up until this point. These were like the first 2 movies to come back to theaters too. And it was Bill and Ted Face the Music or Tenet. And Tenet, I had heard prior to this, was garbage. It looked really cool, and it was garbage. And you can confirm that, because it's garbage. And so I convinced my wife to come see this nostalgic, fun ride of Bill and Ted Face the Music, which, had I made you watch the original movies before? I feel like we watched them when we were dating.
Ago when we were dating, yeah.
So that was my justification. You've seen the first 2. You loved them.
You know.
It was weird It was, I would say, goofier than the first two movies.
But it kind of has to be.
Yeah.
It's like the third
Mm-hmm.
and final.
I would assume. Because it was the song.
Right.
They got to the song, right? Why
Right.
would you do another one?
Right.
But that ending, which we won't go deep into it, but the ending was just very, like, humanity has come together. You know, it had that feeling. And that's, I think if it hit at any other point in history, it wouldn't have felt very impactful. But hitting right there
Right.
after several months of lockdown, of the intent, when we had that intense lockdown, where we were all just stuck at home forever.
Literally this worldwide
Right.
thing that happened. Right.
Like, just as we're starting to creep into a little bit more normal feeling, which still wouldn't fully hit for another year or more, but like
Have we gotten there yet? Oh.
we were, it is day 8,512 of the 15 days to slow the spread. We needed that. And they made it an even bigger deal because for the credits, where that song was still playing, for the credits, they had fans send in videos. Some celebrities too, like Weird Al was in there, a couple other, I think Jack Black maybe, a couple others. But
Cool.
yeah, so they had all these fans playing little bits of the song or singing along to it, a bunch of them. It just, golly, after the ending of the movie, and then to transition into that with the real people who were all filmed this stuck at home during COVID,
Right.
it was just such a uplifting thing. It just made you feel like, we're going to get there. We're going to be okay. They found the song, guys. We're going to get there.
Right. It's coming.
This did come out on video on demand platforms as well at the same time. And actually, it made quite a lot of money because it was one of only two movies that were coming out.
Right. Right. Like, well,
But it was a success. I like
big news out. Let's watch.
for the for the world at large, COVID was terrible. But for Bill and Ted, it was very instrumental in their success. But no, it was beautiful. It was unique. The whole series, it's another one of those situations where you have a successful franchise from the 80s and early 90s that comes back decades later, rides the nostalgia, and for better or for worse, comes with another installment.
Right.
Hasn't worked out for everybody. A lot of people are like, why are we making another one when we could make something else, something new? I love it. I love every single nostalgia bait movie that comes in decades later, because these are things when 2 decades ago, never in a million years. When Andrew Garfield became the new Spider-Man, we were never going to see Tobey Maguire be Spider-Man again. When the MCU started, we were never going to see Andrew Garfield be Spider-Man again. We saw both of them be Spider-Man again. They still might be Spider-Man again. In Secret Wars. That's awesome.
Right.
It makes watching movies difficult to catch up on all the storylines, but who cares? Because it's dope.
Now
It's one of the coolest things that's ever happened in cinema.
Now we got Tony Stark and
Tony Stark's about to be Doctor Doom, guys. I can't wait. I know a lot of you are complaining. Go with a new actor. Do something different. Why would you bring Tony Stark back and ruin his perfect ending?
great.
He's going to kill it, guys. It's going to be so good to see him play a villain version of Tony Stark, Doctor Doom, Victor Von Doom, whatever. Oh, I'm salivating. That nostalgia, which that's also crazy because he was Iron Man in 2008,
right.
which is also almost 20 years ago.
Right. Right.
So this is, even though it's the same movie timeline, this is still
Been going on
nostalgia
forever.
bait.
I remember you telling me, like, all these movies are coming out and giving me all these dates that were, like, forever from now. Mm-hmm. And that's behind us. And I'm like, oh, gee.
We're almost at the end
2025? It's going to be 2025!
We're almost at the end of the second saga of the MCU. 2026 is when it ends.
I just can't believe that I'm going to be like one of those people that was born in the 1900s. That's going to be all old.
I mean,
my grandma was born in the 1900s.
When I was your age, there were 3 Spider-Men. Okay, Grandma. There's like 500, Grandma. Yeah. Like, I mean, the one thing about this show, and actually it spread to a lot of other shows now that we have on the podcast network, is nostalgia is a heck of a drug. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel young. Mm-hmm. It ties you to the great memories of your childhood. Mm-hmm. I just had a fantastic reaction to you reminding me of Apple Jacks commercials. It's such a good feeling. I don't care if it's not perfect. So keep doing it. Keep doing it. I can't wait for the next season of the reboot of Frasier. Just bring it on. All of it. Give me all the nostalgia. New stuff's good too.
I need to watch that.
But nostalgia's great. People didn't like Obi-Wan. I loved it.
Are we allowed to get off topic?
Oh, yeah.
Because I have something to ask.
Do it.
What do you think of the new Office thing with the Aussie lady?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I think it's real.
Office.
I saw it on Facebook, so I don't know if it's real. But they're coming out with the new Office on Peacock, and it's an Aussie lady. No, I know you're thinking it's the lady. But
What
like
lady?
I looked into it. I don't want to be mean. The Olympics breakdancing Aussie lady.
I wasn't thinking that at all.
I swear. You can put a fake news if it was
It's
fake.
gotta be. I would have heard about this.
It's like it got released today. It came up like 5 times on my feed.
Okay. Just
Looked
everybody
like it was from
hold your
official
horses.
Peacock
Office
channel.
Reboot. The Office remake reveals Michael Scott in first image. Oh, okay. It's just an Australian remake of The Office.
Yeah.
It's not like the new Office.
No. Oh.
What is wrong with you? I thought you were talking about The Office reboot. This is just another country making an Office, which has happened like 80 times.
Nope. Here we go. Was it all the way up?
But apparently they're making it for Peacock. That's cool. I'll watch the
I
Australian
don't know.
Office.
I thought it was new. Is it not new?
It's new, yeah.
Okay.
But there have been there's been remakes in India and the Philippines and all this. Like there's a bunch of offices.
Right.
Yeah.
But we haven't got to see them. This is a new one. Well,
I've seen some of them. I don't really watch them because they're all in different
I've only
languages.
seen the original.
But the Australian
and
one
the
sounds
really
great.
good one.
Australian Lego Masters is better than American Lego Masters, so
Right?
let's give them a try.
And apparently we get to see it all in October.
That's going to be weird. Mm-hmm. Because it's hard. It'd be hard to do The Office now.
That's true. It's going to have to be different.
It's going to be very different.
I'm assuming it'll be like the same first episode and then they'll branch off from there. It might be the first season. Well,
That's probably just the first episode. If they do that. Most of them did that.
also
Most of
it's a
them
female boss, so
did
it's automatically going to be different.
I thought you were going to say worse.
I said different.
I was bracing for worse. So it's automatically going to be worse. I didn't think that. I don't believe that. Australian is what's really pulling me in.
Oh, gosh.
That's just what I expected you to say.
All I know is they better reference Bluey.
Bluey better be a part of it. Instead of Homer Simpson doll, it should be a Bluey doll.
Oh my gosh, I love it. If they don't do that, I'm going to be really mad now.
I should just write the show.
You need to. Yeah.
Well, anyway. We've rambled on a lot.
So sorry.
Subscribe to the Nerd History Podcast via our brand new YouTube channel, youtube.com/@nerdhistoryltn. Or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere for your audio fix. And find us on lovethynerd.com/nerdhistorypod. We also have our daily Today in Nerd History video short and article that come out every single day on YouTube, and lovethynerd.com/nerdhistory with photos and nerdy facts. We put a lot into these articles. There's a lot of information, a lot of fun stuff to learn. Nerdy facts, the whole gambit.
Get your nerd on.
Get your nerd on. Every single day. Start your day. Your start page when you open your browser should be lovethynerd.com/nerdhistory. Just learn the nerd history for that day.
Y'all need to come up with a calendar.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We haven't quite made it a full year yet, but we're almost there.
Yeah.
Real close. In fact, it'll be the 28th.
Oh, cool.
The 28th. The day that Bill and Ted Face the Music came out.
Wow.
We should be back with a new episode in 2 weeks if we don't slip on me beans. But until then, I'm Radio Matt.
That was not the right voice. And I'm Deidre.
Slip on me beans.
I slipped on my beans. That's how you do it. What are
I'm
you?
sorry.
You're sounding British.
It was the moment voice. I'm sorry. You finish the show.
And always remember.
And remember, kids.
You do that line. I don't.
In the past, present, and future.
Jesus loves you, nerds.